right. Welcome back. This morning we're going to have a discussion about Proposition 6, and my guest this morning is Lee. She is the president of the school board in Healdsburg, and she is very much in favor of Proposition 6 passing. Quickly, Proposition 6 is calling for the dismissal of any school teacher who openly displays or advocates the homosexual lifestyle, and that's whether that teacher is homosexual or not. Now, Lee, I want to welcome you to our show this morning.
Thank you, Juana.
And I'd like to get right into it because I know that in Healdsburg right now you have a situation where one of the teachers has said that he is homosexual and has come out, and I'm not sure exactly what is happening there. Why don't you tell us what has happened since he announced that?
Okay, once he announced that he was a homosexual, he has received statewide coverage in the media.
His name is?
Larry Berner.
Okay. He teaches what grade?
Second grade.
All right.
He, immediately when he announced himself, we received either 380 or 480 signatures on a petition at the school board requesting his immediate dismissal and requesting that we support the Briggs Initiative. The board voted informally at the board meeting 4-1 to support the Briggs Initiative.
Are there 5 members on your school board?
Yes. The one that voted no has moved. She's no longer on the board.
Have you replaced that person as of yet?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
And when these people came and requested that we dismiss this teacher, we investigated the facts. We found that because 1975 a law was introduced that the California people didn't have a chance to vote on, we can no longer fire a homosexual.
What law are you talking about?
Okay, prior to 1975, anytime a homosexual teacher was public with his lifestyle, you could fire this teacher. In 1975, the consenting adult law was passed, and now school board statewide cannot fire a homosexual who is public with his lifestyle.
All right. Now, that's the Willie Brown law that you're talking about.
Yes.
Okay. I want to know why he's being fired. Has he molested any children? What has he done? Has he just simply come out and declared himself homosexual?
Well, first of all, the school board will decide after the election what they're going to do with this.
Why after the election? Why not before?
Well, because our hands are tied now. We're unable to fire him now. Okay, no, there are laws on the book that if a teacher molests...
That's right, and that's exactly what I was going to say, because I want to know the facts. What has he done? Is his only offense is coming out and saying that he's homosexual? Is that his offense?
His offense, Juana, is the fact that he's a walking billboard for homosexuality. Now, if you...
Wait a minute, let me stop you.
Okay.
What do you mean by that? What's a walking billboard?
By his public advocacy of his lifestyle, by publicly saying I'm a homosexual, whether he comes into the classroom at all or says anything, if it's in the newspaper, then by his lifestyle he is saying, here I am, homosexuality is fine. And a little child who would admire a teacher who is maybe a homosexual person would say, gee, Mom, this man's a nice person. So that must mean homosexuality is okay.
No, now wait a minute. You know, I think this is where the reasoning on this whole thing really breaks down, because I was taught in Catholic schools for the past, well, I went to Catholic schools for 12 years. I was taught by nuns and I was taught by priests. I am now married and I have 2 children. And you know, I'm not a priest and I'm not a nun.
But the hope of the Catholic Church, Juana, would be that some of the children in the schools would become a priest or a nun. That's why we have Catholic schools.
But there is such a thing as separation of church and state, right? Now, when you get into the moral question of homosexuality and people advocating their homosexuality, you are hitting on it on the grounds of it being immoral. I mean, you said this little child said that, Mommy, this teacher is a nice teacher. Doesn't mean that that child is also therefore going to rationalize that maybe the homosexual way of life is a good lifestyle.
Now, Juana, you say that we're not supposed to teach morality. The California Constitution says you teach reading, writing, arithmetic, and morality. It says that. Okay, now, prior to 1975, I could fire a homosexual. Right now, if you are have an affair on the weekend, and I'm not saying that you do, or you murder people, or you are a thief, and you make that lifestyle public, any school board can fire you. And you can fire any of these people on morals charges except a homosexual.
There is a big difference between murder, between rape, between any of those crimes. Those are crimes. There's a big difference between that and what happens between consenting adults in private.
Well, if an adulterer has
if
an
I
affair...
had an affair over the weekend, I certainly this show and let people know that I had an affair over the weekend. That's none of these people's business,
That's right.
It's private.
That's right.
That homosexual teacher, I'm sure, does not come into the classroom and tell his youngsters that he had an affair over the weekend. That is his private business.
But if it was his private business and he kept it to himself, that would be fine, Juana. He wouldn't be fired. But if you say you have an affair on the weekend and it is in the paper, it is public, like his lifestyle now is public by his wanting it to be public, then you could be fired as an adulteress if that's what you were doing. Consequently, he is now public with his lifestyle as a homosexual by his seeking the newspapers. And we say that we don't want that kind of influence in schools statewide, influencing our children.
I guess at the bottom line of all this is the whole issue of morality. I mean, Briggs has come out and said that homosexuals are immoral, they're deviants, and they're perverts, and all of them are child molesters. Do you really believe that? Do you as a person, are you a mother?
My mother.
Do you as a mother believe that?
I'm not concerned about the child molesting because the laws will allow me to fire a homosexual or heterosexual
there are already laws on the books.
Yes, that molest children in the class. But I'm more concerned about his billboard lifestyle and other homosexuals' billboard lifestyle if it's public. Now wait, we've got lots of homosexuals in California.
How many
30,000
homosexuals had heterosexual parents, had heterosexual teachers? How come they didn't become heterosexual? Why are they homosexual? Where does it break down?
But the issue, Juana,
if that's what you want to call it, breaking down.
The issue is, do we want a person who advocates a lifestyle that is not the norm? Heterosexual marriage is the norm. We know that in the world. Why do you want to allow a homosexual person who is not the norm to influence children?
Okay, I will answer that question because I think it's an important one. I'll answer it for me as a person, but we have to take a break.
Okay.
So we'll be back in just a moment.